And we're live. So, chapter 1, what is economics? And if you will start, we'll start here with the board. All right, what is economics? And let me give you a little bit of an overlay, kind of a story that will help set the tone and prepare for our textbook readings. So let's travel back in time to the 1700s, and specifically around throughout the 1750s. And let's take a look at how was life. You know, what was happening in the United States? How was life in the United States in the 1750s? This part of the class is discussion, so come on. Were we not fleeing, our ancestors, were they not fleeing England? Were we not coming to the United States for the birth of a new nation?
Yes.
I mean, specifically, I tell you, 1776, we fought a revolution to secure that independence. But in 1759, let's go across the water to the United Kingdom and England and the surrounding territories there. There was an individual by the name of Adam Smith. Adam Smith was a moral philosopher of his time, highly regarded, highly educated moral philosopher who in 1759 published a work called The Theory of Moral Sentiment. This was his first major work. And what this did was kind of give everyone there a view of moral philosophies. This kind of put him on the road of the rich and famous and sought after speakers, gained him an audience and a following. In 1776, he follows this up with a work entitled The Wealth of Nations. All right, this Wealth of Nations is what's going to give us our modern day view of capitalism. Adam Smith is who we give credit to for launching economics as a separate field of study with particular concentration into the form of capitalism. Now, how were, back over in the United Kingdom, back in England, let's say, how were governments ran? How were economies ran during that time? Who had the power?
The people in charge, the royalty.
People in charge. I can refer to those people.
Like the royalty, the kings, the queens,
The queen. Off with your head. So the king and the queen ruled using a monarchy. So the king and queen set the tone. The king and queen set the tone of distribution. They set the schedule of distributing goods. You got ever how much grain you received and ever how many wages you received. all of that was dictated by the king and queen. You sent royalties up to the king and queen. You kept them afloat. I assure you, they were not working in the fields, but they levied taxes and levied, you know, revenue generating actions against the common class, but the common class were dependent upon the monarchy. So when Adam Smith came out with The Wealth of Nations, and specifically with the ties on capitalism, how do you think the king and queen and the monarchy received that work?
Not so good.
Not too good, I hear. And that's true. Because it's a completely opposite and opposing view to this style.
Right.
So think about it of the people. All right. I'm going to share a quote with you. Because in The Wealth of Nations, I think we could sum up Adam Smith's view on capitalism with one important concept. Adam Smith came up and coined a term called the invisible hand. All right, so think about the invisible hand. And here's the quote that pertains to this. It is not from the benevolence of the butcher, the brewer, or the baker that we expect our dinner, but from their regard to their own self-interest. How can we translate that? It is not from the good nature of the butcher and the brewer or the baker that we expect our dinner, but from their regard to their own self-interest.
Because they count on the people to purchase from them, right? Is that what you're getting?
When the butcher went to work in 1776, what was the butcher's chief objective?
To sell.
To sell. To cut beef, to sell beef.
And to make money.
All right, to make money. Now, here's where I introduce one concept that's common in every class that I teach. It's illegal to make money. We earn money. Deborah's laughing here because she's heard me say this before. We earn money. And it's the chief objective for an organization. And the butcher is acting as an organization here, not just to make money, but to maximize, and we'll say profit. So your objective is not necessarily to earn profits. And remember, profits, revenues are what you gross sales. Profits are what you're actually retaining and keeping in your pocket. So your goal is not to simply earn a profit, but if we want to go all out, it's going to be to maximize profits. So let's look at this. All right, so we got Adam Smith here. And the year we just said was 1776. Wealth of Nations. And then we're going to have this doctrine of the invisible hand. So the butcher, let's focus on the butcher and the brewer. We'll take two parties here. So the butcher goal was to maximize profits. Is the butcher being greedy?
No. Not what we all do.
No. Let's see. We'll look at all right, so what we're going to have here is our demand curve. And let's say that right now, this butcher's goal is to maximize profit, and we are going to let's say that right now, the given market price for this steak is $10 per pound. And at $10 a pound, we see where the butcher is expected to sell 100 pounds of beef. What happens if the butcher, in his pursuit of maximizing profit, and we know that one way that you can maximize profit is to increase revenues. So right now he's going to ignore expenses and just focus on the revenues, and he's going to raise the price to $12. But what happened to the demand?
Not gonna sell as much, it went down.
Didn't sell as much. So the demand reduced from 100 to 50. And I just realized I have these backwards. There. Price is on the y-axis, demand is down on the x-axis. All right, so as we raise the price, is demand decreased? All right, now we could argue that the additional revenues he earned off of $2, yeah, we realize that one effect could be it can offset the reduced quantity, but right now I want you to just focus on, as we raise the price, steak decreased. Now what would happen though if this was the only butcher in town? What would prevent this butcher from taking this steak on up to 14? There's still going to be individuals willing to pay $14. There may even be individuals willing to pay $15 per pound of steak. So what is necessary under this capitalism market? What kind of keeps the butcher in check? Let's put this in our everyday lives. You're going to have a 4th of July cookout. You're going to feed steaks to everyone. Okay, you probably in your mind right now, past transactions have shown you what you would expect to pay per pound of choice beef. But if you look at your favorite shopping source, your grocer, and you see where steak prices are running a little high, what are your options?
Pay more or not buy it.
You can pay more. And I think of what's going on in the grocer industry right now. You know, there's a good shake up in the industry, I would say, if you want to look at our country's leading grocers and kind of tie this to modern day terms. But, you know, just last week, the largest grocer, Kroger, warned of lower future results. So they expected the near future to produce lower financial measures than what they had recorded in the past, and they cited competition. So you want to go think of your largest grocer in your area, and I'm going to say you probably have another one nearby. Right now, we see even demands coming through online shipments. Amazon buying Whole Foods, going to be able to distribute. Walmart getting into online distributions. But one option would be, yes, Pam, you could pay the higher price. But let's say before you agree to pay the higher price, within a capitalistic economy, we're going to be able to shop other competitors and see where those competitors are priced. So let's just assume that we're going to call these the activities of company A. Now, if company B comes in and lowers the price to $8, and we're going to assume that this is all same quality of cut of beef, nothing but the best. So if we lower it, company B lowers to 8, company B will sell 150 pounds. How must company A respond if they want to remain competitive?
Drop their prices.
They must drop their price. And again, company B, in its pursuit of maximizing profit, may even increase its price. But because of open competition, this is going to work out. All right, right now, each of you in this classroom, if you want to go back and compare your situations to your shopping patterns, to your parents, your grandparents. But we right now as shoppers are even more well informed of what these other competitors are pricing their models or their steaks. We are more well informed thanks to technology. Now, I do agree, one third option that would have been available to you is what?
Buy something else.
There you go. You have what's called a substitution effect. So you could substitute some other commodity here. And if steak prices reached a point of too expensive, shoppers, of course, would start to look at close substitutes. And I just list hamburgers and hot dogs here as examples. All right, let's go back here and let's focus on this concept of greed. So right now I'm going to remove our company B. And we're going to not have any of this competition. And let's talk about maximizing profits. Pam says the butcher's not being greedy. And I think that is true, but one might argue on the other side. And what Adam Smith said under the invisible hand was, and I'm going to paraphrase, but yes, the butcher's chief objective is to maximize his own individual profit. It is to secure the greatest self-benefit that's possible to be achieved. So the butcher is going to maximize profit, and I'm going to put self-benefit. Do not confuse that with social benefit. If each of you go out tomorrow and you decide that you are going to maximize profit and you want to be selfish, you're only thinking of yourself. You're not thinking of society. I'm venturing to say right now, if you're taking this class right now, you probably did not think of society or even creating and helping create a more educated nation. But you're taking this class right now to pursue college education, maybe a better job, higher wages, improved benefits. All of those are reasons that benefit you as a self with disregarding society. But in this pursuit of self-benefit, we have something called externalities. And this is where we get our social benefit. Using this example of you taking this college course. Okay, yes, you are currently seated here tonight in a pursuit of self-benefit and only thinking about self-benefit. That is okay. But as more and more of you graduate and more of you enter the workforce, your cities and towns, your state, and ultimately our nation is going to also benefit. And this externality is a positive externality. But it's going to be a product of this self-pursuit. All right, in our butcher in their pursuit of self-promotion, what must he or she have before they can create the best quality of beef? Where does it start?
The farmer.
The farmer. So they're going to insist and put pressure on that farmer to go out and raise USDA top quality choice beef. Now, I don't think the USDA was around in 1776, but it was probably taking not a fat beef, less fat, grain fed, good quality meat. All right, so it's going to put pressure on the farmer. Who else was it going to put pressure on? Someone is going to have to supply that farmer with everything. So if that farmer is demanding, if that butcher is demanding the best beef, and that farmer therefore goes out and decides, I am going to only think of myself, I'm only pursuing my own self-interest, and I'm going to raise the very best product of beef England ever saw. That farmer at that point is going to start demanding resources that enable him to raise this quality of meat. And it's going to have a trickle-down effect. It's going to have these other positive externalities. So the invisible hand says that as I go in pursuit of my own self-interest, I'm also going to create positive social interest. So if I choose to be the very best that I can be and only think of myself, my surrounding community will also benefit just based off of my own self-pursuit. Okay, I will put a big star right here because this is a key point in order for all of this to work, in order for capitalism to work as it is best designed, we must have competition.